Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live people for ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm working in imagimorphia and I thought I would work with some pastel pencils. Now I haven't decided whether to just stick with my pale very old but gorgeous portrait set or incorporate some of the new vivid bright colours. We'll see how we go. I'm going to blend them with a blending tool and then I'm going to set them with a damp brush as I've done it, because I want to be able to put my hand on things. Apologies, there could be a bark alert because next door's dogs are grumbling, and so he's grumbling under the table. And the little boy in the end who's looked up is deaf and he has no idea what's going on the planet. So what I'm going to do is put some colour down, then I'm going to blend it, and then I'm going to use a damp brush and I'm going to set it. So that means I can put my hand on it and it's not going to go anywhere. And I don't have to use fixatives or anything. So I have a little pot of water and a baby wipe. And that's just going to give me just enough dampness, very much like watercolouring, same effect, very damp, just a very, very damp, just a damp brush, but it hasn't a lot of water in it at all. That's what I wanted to say. If I can get the mouth going this morning. So I hope the colour's right. I'm going to zoom in and then you can see how the blending works and how easy it is. Let's see if we can. So I shall endeavour to move and I can move that slightly because it's slightly easier for me. So I'm going to work in this bottom corner first, I think. Oh no, but I'll do this one first here. So I'll move everything down very slightly. And I'm going to work that first. So I found a green umber, but this is from the pastel set, so it's not quite it's my little piece of paper. There's possibly, and that's a very pale one, that one. And that's kind of a brown. Oh, that might be quite nice as a highlight. This is, I can have a quick flick over the other side. There's some paler greens there. I thought there was another olivey colour, but so if I did this and then that, sometimes you have to play about. I could make that to be very pale and then incorporate that for a nice shadow. Or I can take this, clean the end of this. Sometimes you've got to play about with the colours before you're happy. Now I used to use 3 colours, but I didn't want to do 3 colours really, but I'm still not happy with that. Maybe it's going to be that one. maybe I'm not going to stick with these colours. Maybe I'm just going to go do something else. So, oopsie. We have a look at the other set. This is the 72 set, the modern set. And because the colour on the end is the colour you get, it's quite nice. Again, when you're looking for olives, I quite like this set. You can have a quick look in here. So here we have a very pale. So there's olive green and a dark olive. And then we have the pale olive. So we can kind of blend these out together and see what it does. Sometimes I like to have a bit of a play so I can find out. Oh, hi Little Book Owl, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else I've missed? I'm just having a play. Yeah, I'm not really happy with that one. I'm having a bit of a play with my greens, trying to get some kind of... I think 2 might be enough, I think. Let's see if I can clean this. I don't know why the dogs are barking next door, but I'll be setting off our little man in a minute. And they're a really good set of greens. There's 3, 5, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's 13 greens. So that's quite a good set, is that? That says it's green oxide. And the thing is, because it's pastel, you can actually look at the end and that's what you're going to get. So again, that's quite nice. And there seems to be quite a lot of messing about, but I actually I like to make a nice job of the colours. I'm still not happy with those. You'd think with 108 pencils I'd be able to find an odd one or two that would go together, wouldn't you? But the thing is, I do like to make the colours sit nicely together. So I think we're going to have to go for 2. I think we're going to have to go for that one and that one. I think we'll just go for 2. It's going to be a bit colder, but there's lots of other green things on there. So I'm working on this one. Oh, hi King, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else that's popping in? I'm working in the imagimorphia. And this is one of the clock pages. I think it's a clock page. So I've zoomed in. So where it's dark, I'm putting the dark olive colour. And the Kerby Rosanes, like some of the others, they've got cross hatchings on them, so they're always easy to see. And then where it's pale, we've got that bit, and I just didn't see that bit there, so again, just put that bit there. Now you could use a watercolour brush. I could if I wanted. And these spaces are a little bit small for this particular blending tool that I'm using, but if you start, I just love the fact it's quite soft. So start with the pale and blend that into where we want it. And then we can kind of smudge out. You can smudge out the dark then. Sorry, I was in the way then. So it's best to do the pale first and then kind of incorporate the dark. And you can always go in. Again, this is paper, it's a flat surface. It wasn't designed for pastels, but you can just about get away with smudging a bit of a stain on there, and that's basically what we're doing. And then I quite like that. I like maybe a bit of a highlight on there, so I've never done this before, but let's have a go. Let's put a little bit of white. I don't think it's going to work because it's white. No, I don't think that works. So the next best thing is using the electric eraser. And I've got the little Derwent one, and most of the time it has a real sharp edge on it, but it hasn't at the moment. But what it can do is, and it sounds a bit like a bumblebee stuck in a spider's web. You can just take off that tip, and that just makes a highlight. And then you can use a really soft, this is a water stable brush, because if you rub this it would smudge now, but oh, bye Suzanne, thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a pleasant a pleasant, even though you've been under the weather. So what I'm doing is just stroking a damp brush over that. So Suzanne will be loitering with intent. So thank you for joining us, everybody. This is a live stream with live peoples popping in and out. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. And I have a big thank you to my 550 subscribers for supporting me. Thank you very much. Don't forget, if you have any questions or requests, I hope to be doing a Joanna Basford's Christmas page, because I want to finish that book. And I wanted to do it in watercolours, but I can't do that, so I'm going to have to finish it off in pastels, because just at this moment that's all I can use. So that's had a bit of a damp brush over the top, so I'm going to give it a minute or so. So I think these are different, even though they look like they might be the same colours. I've got to decide what to do with the clouds. There's a butterfly there. I think we'll have a purple butterfly. And I do love this up front, this ultramarine, but it's the faint ultramarine, and it's the most gorgeous pale blue for highlights. It's quite beautiful. So I think this is quite an old set of mine, which are they are technically and it's spectrum blue as well. They are technically a set that was made for portraiture, so they're very pale. And then I have my new ones, which I think I'll have a little grey tummy. We don't want to be too dark. And I do love my little pencils. I slide them in and out and keep them all in order. So I really like that, because otherwise you end up with thousands of pencils all over the place. Blending, I'm using my little blending tool, which this one is a Royal Sovereign UK colour shaper, and it's firm. It's called a taper point, and it's number 6. It's quite a big one actually, but it's quite firm. Now when I was using the Harry Potter, I had some very tiny spaces, so I've used this one, which is kind of tapered to a point. These are from the works, so they've got some little ridges on if I need a small a small space. And then I better just clean that. If you don't clean it, you will get your colour. So I wipe it with a baby wipe, and then I just rub off the end, and that just gets everything away to make it nice and clean for some pale colours. Blow off the bit of dust, although the least you scratch with your pastel, the least you waste. So as a tight Yorkshire lass, I quite like that. And then that's blended, and then I'm taking just a damp brush, dried on a baby wipe, and I'm just stroking across. And if you notice, the black lines pop back out again, and that's when you know where you've been. So you're not blending with the paintbrush. You can blend with the paintbrush, but I actually prefer the image blended with a blender and then stroked over with a wet brush. So this one I did a few minutes ago. It's completely set now. That's not going anywhere. And there's no fixatives, there's no anything, and it's on a very fine, there's no damage to your paintbrush. The only one you can't do this with is the Bennett Klein, because that is just and the Bible pages crinkle a little bit, but apart from that, so then the butterfly now is set. I love these are Derwent pencil pastels, and the thing with them is I got the idea because I was trying to play with something and my hands were hurting, so I was playing with my little pastels, but they were just too big for some fine spaces. So I bought a while ago, my husband bought many years ago, a pencil set which was 36, I think. 36, oh, you can just about see it, portrait set. So these are skin tones and pales, but they are gorgeous. So I was playing with those, and then I decided that I would like some vivid, bright pastel colours that were in my pastel sets. And at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the Amazon Gremlin pressed buy. And then the next day, I'll zoom back out 2 seconds. The next day, these beautiful creatures arrived. The 72, oh sorry, not those. This is my pastel set, and they are cracking, but they're very soft because they're quite old. So they've changed. This is the old style, and this is the new style with the dipped edge. So these pencils are slightly thinner, and the sticks, the sticks of colour are slightly thinner. But I've put them all in order, so they're all in the same order, and I keep them in my Derwent carry-all. And I don't actually put, I love this, I can get 6 sleeves in here. Just move the camera up a bit so I can get, you have a pocket here, and I love this bag. You don't have to use it for pencils, you can use it for pens. There's anything that goes in here, and then at the back you can have a sketchbook. It sits in here. So this is 2 inches and the other one's 2 inches, that's 4 inches. So I've because I can't use my hands very well now, I'm using my water pencils, and so that's my Graphie Tint, my 72 Derwent Inktense pencils, and I mean I've had these many years as well. These are the very old style because of the colours. These are cracking, but the colours are fab. The Derwent 72 watercolour pencils, and then I have 72 of the new pastel pencils. So I've got 6 sleeves which fit into this Derwent art bag, and then you can put all your other things on top if you want. And I do love this. It goes everywhere. It sits on the end of the sofa. It goes everywhere with me. So I have, and they all are in the same colour order. So number 1 always starts with the pale yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, purples, and then we go to blues, greens, teals, greens, olives, and then we have the olives, the fawns, the browns, the blacks, the greys, and I love them. Now they're not designed to do this kind of work. They are designed, pastels are designed to be used on rough paper that has a tooth, special paper for pastels. But if you use them very frugally, which is my kind of thing, tight Yorkshire lass, and just scratch very carefully with your poorly hands, a tiny little bit of colour, blend it in, and then either leave it or set it with stroking a little damp brush over the top, you can get some beautiful colours with these, and they will turn into a watercolour if you want them to, as will all pastels, because they are the nearest thing to pure pigment. So you don't even need a colour swatch, because the colour on the end of here is the colour you get. So they're very easy. So these are called the Derwent pastel pencils, and basically if you go on the Derwent website, they will show and find the pastel pencils. There's a video and the lady shows you how to use them, and actually I watched it afterwards and thought, oh well, actually I'm doing it right. But basically the pastels in here is the same, but instead of getting dirty fingers and wanting to work in smaller spaces, you've got them in a pencil. I would think if you knock them about a bit, you would break the kind of lead, because it's not even lead inside. The sticks of colour are fairly fragile because it's a pastel. So having it in one of these sleeves is quite good, and of course I've got 72, so that's the back side of the other pencils. But they are gorgeous to work with. They are soft. There's some vivid colours as well, and if you have bad hands like me, they're perfect, because just at this minute I can't even scribble with my watercolour pencils, so I kind of just scratch over the top and then I can blend a little bit. So they're perfect if you've got bad hands, or if you want to colour for a long time. Anybody else got any questions? Have a look, buy a set of half a dozen first and have a play. That's the best thing to do. I think I put my white one down here, don't I? That's the best thing to do, because they're not for everybody. They're not designed for this. I've made this up. It's just an easy way. But all pastels, if you scratch them down, you can make them into a watercolour. And I remembered that from when I went to when I was at uni. So again, that gave me the idea that I wondered if it would set it. And then I tried it last week and it worked. Oh, so again, and I really love the beautiful colours. You can have, but the best thing to do is have a look at pastelists and how they work, and the colours they use and how they use them. But they are wonderful in a colour book, but they are not designed for a colour book. I got the idea because of the Bennett Klein's, the paper. I was a bit disappointed. It was so thin. And I was worried what I was going to use, because I used Derwent watercolours pencils and I used Derwent Intense pencils. And I've loved using those. Is it this one that I've used? This one? The pineapples. Just put my camera back here a second. Oh, see, little man's awake. It's like having a toddler. So we've got Inktense pencils, and again I just scratched a little bit of colour and then use the pen to manipulate the colour. And this one is the water, that's the watercolour. So there's not much colour difference. These are Inktense pencils and they are set once they are wet. These are Derwent watercolour pencils and they are not set. If I put a water thing onto here, they would move. But I like these because they're so versatile. But that gave me the idea of trying. I used to use everything else, and then I realised that this book wouldn't do that. So I found my old set of portrait pencils and started working in these gorgeous colours that I would not really make up if I was working in them. So that gave me the idea to use them in this Bennett Klein, and I haven't set them. If I rubbed that, it would rub off, but I've put some tracing paper between, and that's given me a scope to do backgrounds, which is something that I didn't used to do. But the colours are so soft, and completely different way of working, which I love. You know, I've got the Derwent Inktense to do the vibrant bright colours. I want to work in the Bennett Kleins with soft pastel colours, and that gives me another string to my bow, kind of thing. Yeah, the wooden box is a good price if that's it, because normally they're over 100 if it's a wooden box. Now you see, I have a wooden box, but I cannot work out of there. So this is why I bought this box, this Derwent art bag. And these have eyelets, and you sit them in the book so you can flick them like this. But when I'm working and I'm filming, I use them like this, and I just flick them backwards and forwards. So when you hear me, this is what I'm doing. I'm flicking from the yellows to the blues. And then, of course, I have the 36 set, but these are very pale. These are all for portraits. So these are all skin tones, which are wonderful. And again, they're for the Bennett Klein ones, because I just love those colours. Anybody got any more questions on the pastels? So the book owl says they are £98.59 on Prime. Now I was looking in the UK, I paid 63, I think. I think I paid 60 some. I didn't pay 70, so I thought that was good. I have a wooden box, which is actually for pastels, but it's getting the lids on and off and opening the tin I can't do. This way I can pull these out and use them. Now I'm going to keep the tin, because the box, because the girls can use it. But I bought one of these art bags for the girls for Christmas. Both my girls are drawers. One's doing animation and illustration at university, and the other one loves to colour. And she's actually the better drawer of all of us. But she's doing animal management because she wants to work with animals. But she likes to sketch and to colour in. And I bought her some Colour Soft pencils I gave her, and I bought her a colour book when she was doing her O-levels because she was getting very stressed. And it seemed to work quite well. So it's quite good for kids, even 16-year-olds, to do that. And when she's stressed, she's always in the corner drawing or doing something. So it's quite good. The thing with the wooden boxes, I've dropped mine twice. I think they're a bit safer in here, but they're more portable in here. The more user-friendly. And the other reason is I can only get my pastel pencils in my box. I think I've got 300 and some pencils in my little art bag, and they're about £13, and it has a strap. If I say to hubby, bring the pencils, he knows to bring that bag, and that means I can use anything I want. And I can get all these little bags of the water brushes and the erasers and the blades and all sorts of other erasers and things. I get all these things in the same place. So it's more of a toolbox as well as a pencil set. But my other daughter, one of the sleeves I filled with the little markies. What do we call them? Sharpies. There's a set of colouring in markers. I think they're normally 20. I think I bought them for a £5 from Tesco, so I bought 3 sets. So I gave them, they had one each anyway, but I put them in here. So they've got pens, markers, sketching things, all sorts in their little book, in their little art bag. I've just got pencils. But I'm just really surprised. But this may not work. They might disappear after so long. But I think that's in there now. And it's a colouring book. You know, I'm not selling it. It's not a work of art. It's not going on somebody's wall. These are colour fast, though. These are professional pastels. They're very, very good quality, the Derwent ones. But have a go. Some people might hate them. They're very chalky. It is like a chalk. It's like a pastel. That's what it is. And if you forget and you rub over it, then it will disappear, especially on a colour book. But there's nothing reason to say you can't start in a colour book and then buy a pastel pad. It's a drawing pad full of paper that's a little bit, it's got a grain to it, almost like a very fine sandpaper. And that's special paper, so you can draw on it and then you can colour in and build up layers with these pastels and with any pastel pencils. And that will then, when you fixed it, will stay. This is just very shiny, so this particular colour is hanging on by a grim death. Except for now, I've made it now into a watercolour. But just blending it, the ones in the Bennett Klein book are hanging on in there. Just so again, I normally do vivid, bright colours in here. So it's again another different way of working in the same book. But it's mainly because at the moment I can't use my thumb, so I can manage to colour without using a thumb, and you could not do that if you were blending pencils. So I really love these really pale colours. I hope that the light's not too bright, because sometimes it gets a bit too bright. Let me just see if I can zoom in. Oh, Kingar says there's 72 Derwent pastel pencils and 93 on Amazon. But for goodness sake, don't buy the full set first. Just buy 1 or 2. Buy 6 of the favourite colours, and then, because you may not like them. If if I move that over there very carefully, there's some really very, very pale colours, which I really like. So there seems to be, oh, there's another butterfly up there. So I'm going to do all the butterflies the same colours. I will say that the old ones are softer, shall we say, but obviously the wood's different as well. There is a difference, but these must be nearly as old as the girls. They must be 15, 20 years old. They have to be. I think we went to Jeff Hamilton's Gardens, and there was an art shop in the local village, local little town. I'm pretty sure it's the first time I was on crutches and I was unwell, and I think that's when he bought me them. But that's when the girls were little, so it's a long time ago. So have a look on eBay. Always look inside the tin, because sometimes there can be nothing in the tin. So I look on photographs, I look inside the tin, and I zoom in as far as I can to see what state the ends of the pencils are in. And you can tell what colours they are. And then if you can pick a tin up for a quarter of the price, pick a tin up for that price. Play with them, have a go with them. If you like them, birthdays and Christmas money combined, have the full set. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. So I was looking for the two blues that are together, and it's funny because this is the portrait set, so their names don't, because it has an F, it's very faint. So this is ultramarine, but it's the palest ultramarine you've ever seen. And I tend to use the dark violet, but again it's an F. So this butterfly is dark violet 25F for faint, and ultramarine 29F. And I would love a full set of these, but I don't think you can get hold of them anymore. Yes, again, that's you can think you could get them, and then you've made it into a watercolour. And there's no reason why you can't scribble them together. Mix the colour on a paper and then use that colour. Now it's very pale, but you can use the colour to colour in if you want to. Do it that way. And you can do that with all the pencils that are water-based from Derwent, because it's such good pigment. I've got a butterfly up here now, so I'm just going to do this butterfly. And this is a very gentle way of working, and I really like that. You know, I've made several books, and you want to stroke it as soft as possible, because if you dig down, all you're doing is making dust, and when you blow, that dust disappears and you're wasting it. And if you've got a bit of asthma like me, then you don't want to be doing that. But if you use them quite frugally, then that's fine. And again, I always pop them back because they're just easier to find than if I put them back where they were. And they're not rolling about. So the little butterflies have the colour. My little blending tool is clean. A little blow, and then just gently blend them together. Now you can't see very much because of the colours, but, and I think I used a soft grey. Well, actually it's called chocolate, but it's an F, so it's very faint. I think I did the bodies with that. And again, just a little tap, because this is quite bouncy. This little end is very bouncy, so you don't have any pressure on your hands, which just at this moment in time is quite important to me. And I've just spilt my water. On my phone. But luckily it's a tablespoon of water, so it's fine. So I'm going to take my little brush and then twist it on a baby white. You're twisting it to a point, and then you're taking off a lot of dampness, and then just very carefully stroke, and you can see the black lines coming back. You don't want to blend. You can blend with the brush and not use the blending tool, but I like the effect of the blending tool and then just set the whole thing with a damp brush. If you start to rub, you'll move your colour. And I wouldn't just go over that straight away, but that's set now, that's okay. So I've got a balloon there, so I really don't know what colours to do with this balloon. And my desk is on a slant at the moment, so it's not behaving itself particularly well. We could have some blue. So if you use the blue here, and then we could do some stripes. And again, this is spectrum blue, but it's got the F symbol, so that means it's faint, and it is extremely faint. It is faint. You can hardly see that. I think I might just put all that in there. Put the paintbrush down. And it would be easier to blend like this. You want to be comfortable. So I'm finding that I'm in my own light, so I'm just going to very carefully just so I can get a nice blend. And you want to take it to the edge. So the pencil wasn't up to the edge, but the blender's pushing it, and then it's blending it together. Now these probably weren't the best colours to work together, but I just wanted some pale colours. I've just got a feeling that this is going to be a pale page. And if you don't set it with water first, you can always go back in. Oopsie. Somebody's not a happy bunny. Shh. So I'm going to turn that around carefully. Turn that very carefully. Oopsie. So you can see that there's a little bit done. We want a basket now. So either do a straw colour or basket. That says it's a yellow ochre. Oh, there's sandbags, so that will be paler. Possibly could do with a point on there, but I'm not going to waste that just for that. And sandbags will be possibly this colour, maybe. I don't like that colour because it matches the leaf. So I haven't blended it, and because I haven't blended it, I can completely just get rid of it. So I've got my little Derwent electric eraser. Now it does sound like it's got a bumblebee stuck in a spider's web, but my fluffy brush, and it's completely disappeared. So if I'd have blended it, I would have ended up with a little bit of a kind of like a stain of that colour. But because I hadn't blended it, it's completely gone. So again, I love that idea. You can put a colour on and think, I really don't like that. And as long as you haven't blended it, you can erase it. And that's got to be quite magical, I think. I think I might just put... I think I might just put that colour there, like that. So the more you press on, the more dust you make, the more you waste your pencil. I think this is going to be that colour. And it took me ages to work out which one it was. I think it was this colour. So I think I'm just going to put this here and then blend it out, I think. And I'm going to do all this together, and then there's this there. So you just want the tiniest amount, because you can push this colour around quite well. And if you want, I've got some finer tools here, but I don't tend to use them because they're a bit squishy. These are from the Works. But if you've got a very fine point, then you can use it. If you've got a small area that you want to get, again, you've got to kind of wet them and then wipe off any particular colour, because they do tend to hold their colour a bit. And so you can just, you can stroke with one of these. You can use, I find them a bit hard, the little torsions, the little paper things, but they're very, very tough. But if you've got a very fine space, they're quite good. They come in different sizes. Cotton wool bud if it's a bigger area. I want to, in fact, that's one thing I could do. Just do this. I'll finish this leaf. So what I've done is I've pushed it down into the underneath, but then left it to just go to the top, and I've got a natural highlight. I don't have to mess about with it. It's done. And I really like that effect. The Harry Potter one I was messing about to get, because it's a photograph, so I'm working with somebody else's colours. This I can work in whatever colours I want, so I'm making it up as I go along. Don't have to think about it. It's not photorealistic or photorealism. So this one I can just do that, a quick stroke, and it's done. And you can do a page in a day, and I like that idea as well. Some of them I want to spend 5 or 6 weeks on, some of them I don't. So again, that colour. And you've got to remember to clean that, but these are quite handy. I didn't think they were quite nice, but they're soft, so they're quite good. We've got a feather, so it could be what bird? We've got a dragon here. What other birds have we got? Got quite a few dragons in here. And there's the owl. There's a stingray. So I've got that indigo, which I used. I bet the stingray would look quite good on that. And you could also use the indigo for the clouds, so where they're dark, they're very dark, and where they're light, they're paler. And you can get a good contrast with that as well. Let me have a look. There's another balloon. I never know what to do with the little tiny people, but I've got this spectrum orange, and I think we might have some spectrum orange. In fact, I think I might put some spectrum orange, so we'll see just how good this is to kind of get a bit of colour going up here. Oh, sorry, let me just scoot round him. So we've got a little bit of colour in there, that's quite good. I might put some red as well, actually, I think. Just put a bit more colour into that, and I like that. The zinc yellow is quite nice as well, that would be quite nice. There's an airship. There's kind of all sorts of things. One thing I've got to remember to do though now, which I forgot, is just go over that and this one. So again, you can see when I put the colour on, I've got to be careful because I'd lose that highlight if I'm not careful. It's a slightly darker, and that's why a lot of pastelists don't fix their work. They put them in very, very wide photo frames. So, and then they have a gap, and then they have a very deep border, and the dust falls behind. And that's what because as soon as you use fixative or hairspray, you change the colour. It goes darker. And it does the same with this little damp brush. But it's a colour book. I can live with that. You know, it's a colour book. But it's the difference between it smudging everywhere and an eye smudging, or it's just finished. So this is a bit fiddly, but you know, if you do it as you go along. With the Harry Potter one, I did it at the end, so because I hadn't finished it, it's a composition, I hadn't finished it. But if you're colouring something, you could just go over them as you go along and that'll be fine. Anybody got any more? So feathers, I think we'll have to have a bit of a Charlie feather, I think. You see, this is Hooker's Green, but it's 75F, so it's very pale. So if you look for, I don't actually think there is a Hooker's Green in this one, actually. But there's an emerald green. I think we'll have a bit of emerald green in here. So just check that's clean. And then start with the top because it's the palest. It's the palest colour. Because as soon as you touch the darker green, it will blend in. And then you can take it as high up as far as you want. And there's another balloon there. I still don't know what to do with these little creatures. So then, it doesn't take much effort. You know, if you're blending for hours on end, and you can see the dark line of the outline come to life, and you know you've covered it then. So you can set it either as you go, or you can set it instead of blending it, you can blend it with a paintbrush. It's just whichever's easiest and whichever you like to do. And what else have we got now? There's another little bird over there. There's an owl, so I think we could get some browns going. I'm just going to have a quick look at these colours. Push those away a minute. Let me have a look. Oh, I left those out because that was the same one. That's the other thing I like to do, especially with the Kerby Rosane, is if I do this one colour, I like to do them all, because if I don't, I forget. And so that's just, I'd forgotten about the Kerby Rosane rule. I think those two were the colours that I used, weren't they? Yeah. Actually, I don't think it... I think it was that one. Got myself in a pickle. So that's what I'm going to do. If you've got any questions, just pop them in caps. So that's all set now. I can go work in another area and not worry about it. So I'm going to go down here. If I can move the camera. And I'm going to colour in these here. So this is the dark. So just the tiniest amount of colour you need. Because everything else that you have to blow, you have to throw away. I think that's a little bit too pale. And again, I've made a mistake. I'm going to take it off because I don't like it. So what I need to do is to get the eraser, and I haven't blended it, so I can take all that colour off because it's wrong and I don't like it. And because I haven't blended it, there's no trace at all of it. It's all gone. So again, that's wonderful, because you know, if you want to do something the same and you make a mistake, I don't suppose it matters with a leaf, but it would do if you really didn't want to make a mistake with it. And that's all there is to it, really. So I'm going to blend that one and put the other pencils away before I get confused. Doesn't take much. Start where the palest one is first. And again, this is such a nice little blender to just... But you can use a cotton wool bud. The beauty of this is you don't waste anything. So again, tight Yorkshire lass, I kind of like that. So I can go in with this one. And I always scribble short of the the line and then push the colour into the line, and that way you've blended before you've got to the line, so you don't go over. And there's one here. Should be okay now. Let's push that forward. So I can do this one and a bit of dark there. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you all have a pleasant morning or afternoon, and I think we're on afternoon now here in the UK. Quite a miserable, it's quite a miserable dark day actually. Now this is a very pale colour, so I could create quite a nice dark background, and I don't think I've done that with pastels, so I can actually use my other pastels, and that's probably what you would do if you were using ordinary professional pastels. Do most of the work with the pastels, and then for fine detail go in with these. And if you watch YouTubers, that's probably what you will find. People do that with them. Because I have visions. In fact, I think I might just do that. Just that little bit dusty, but I have visions, especially this size. These colours in here are just amazing. And I did try to colour, I think it was the Kerby Rosane one that I started. There is a grey-green there. Some grey-greens there. These are really soft and crumbly, though, these. Probably the clock. I could do the clock with these. I was looking at the flowers, particular colours. Some really nice colours. Oh, hi. Hi, Carol. Sorry, I've got my... I just zoom out and just go through these. Got my little camera thing in the way. I'll show you what this looks like, and then I might just do something different. So that's where I've got so far. I haven't got my glasses, so I can't see a thing. So we've done a little bit of this up here and down here. The one thing I haven't done down here, though, is I haven't set it in water. So I'm just going to set this in water. And because they've all been blended, I'm just stroking very carefully as not to move any of that pigment. Just stroking it to make it set, so I can go leave this page and go somewhere else and be fine. You just got to remember where you've been with it, that's all. Because you need to fix all of it, really. Oh, Suzanne says it's gloomy there as well, yeah. It was supposed to be very cold. If it's very cold here, it's normally bright, but it was a bit nippy, but... again, you get in your own little world. And just, this is very, very similar to watercolouring, so I like it, but it's a bit of an effort. Having said that, because the effects are so nice, you don't really mind. And the other thing is, I wouldn't be able to blend any other way, and at the moment I wouldn't be able to do any colouring. So that's now all set, because I put a tiny amount of water on it. So again, really unusual colours to use in this Kerby Rosane. Well, Carol says it's 7 a.m. there. We are lunchtime, are we? Let me have a look. 1 o'clock. Are we 1 o'clock already? Oh my goodness. I think Emma comes on about 2 or 3, doesn't she? I'm going to finish this particular one and talk about the pastels, but that's it's taken me an hour, but I think I've done a lot of waffling. So this is the Bennett Klein part 1, and it's the clock page with the Derwent watercolour pencils. So thank you for watching.